Start.
The DORK Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK Podcast. Ryan Davey. It's the DORK Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Rick Rude Von Dick Dude. He is Razzle Von Dazzle. All hail the King of Ginger Ale. That's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Greetings from the wonderful Weirs Beach.
Ooh, up at the old Weirs.
Up at the Weirs this week, yeah. But doing it remotely, feeling great. Hit up fun spot. No Brian Koo sightings this time.
No Koo?
But we were there. No Koo yet. The power of yet.
Okay, you'll see him. You'll run into him. What was the first game you played up there?
The one I always go, Rolling Thunder is my game.
There you go. Very good. Well, we can't fuck around much longer, Ryan, because we have a hell of an episode to get to. And joining us for this is one half of the Mac and Goo podcast. It is Goo. Goo, how are you?
Oh, you could tell it was me. I was wearing a mask.
Great stuff.
Mac. That's a good visual joke for the podcast. Mac has decided that he is too hungover to join.
He's got
welcome to my world. Yeah, welcome to my world, guys.
The Irish flu.
It's coming out of both ends. Yeah, no, he didn't get into great detail, but I'm guessing it wasn't pretty. If you're too hungover to podcast from home, you
were with us during one of our when we used to all be in the same room. You know, I thought COVID was over, but Mac would be Googling stuff while you'd be having a conversation elsewhere. Usually hungover.
Yeah, it's just the name of the game.
Well, it's amazing to me to be that hungover at 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday. That's wild to me.
Well, Saturday night he had a big to do.
Yeah.
You know, you wake up Sunday morning.
I believe he was at the Newport Jazz Festival.
Wow. That'll get you.
Yeah, they'll sting you.
That'll
sting you for sure.
Well, did he get into the jazz cabbage as well? That electric lettuce?
He's super stoned right now. He texted me just now saying it's 4:20 somewhere.
Yeah, that's what it is. Just so high. I'm too high. I can't do the podcast because it's so high. I'm going to go watch
cheeseburgers.
So here's the deal. We did our top 50 and 50 through 26 2 episodes ago. So if you missed that, stop what you're doing right now. Jump back in there. Listen to that entire thing. And this is a voted on experience. 16 voters, which maybe was too many. But we ended up getting a list that I didn't entirely agree with the first 25. This top 25, though, I think is a pretty solid list. We will get to honorable mentions. When should we do that? Should we do that before we get to like the top 5?
Let's do it before the top 5. I always like the honorable mentions in there, like leading up to the best ones.
Yeah, because I'm going to tweet out my whole list, my whole personal list at some point this week.
Transparency.
Yeah, right. Like here, people, this is what I wanted. So there's 3 shows in my personal top 20 that didn't make the group's top 50. And then there's a bunch of other ones because, like, you know, once you're given like 1 or 2 points away, not a lot of those ones made it. But we'll do that. We'll kick that around a little bit. Let's start with number 25. Let's dive right in because this may take a while and we don't want to, go all into the sweet and good night. Let's start with number 25 on this list, a show that aired from 2006 to 2011, 5 seasons, 76 episodes. It ran on NBC and something called the 101 Network, which was a DirecTV only channel. We're talking about Friday Night Lights, which I would say is both a sexy teen drama and a show about football. So for me,
and a show about football and a show about relationships in a small town. I mean,
yeah.
I would say what I loved about this show is that like football was at the center of it, but not the focus of it, if that makes a lick of sense.
Sure.
And to me, it was that show where, again, one very bad season hurt it. You take that season out, I think you're talking top 10 shows of all time here.
Yeah, for me personally, I had it 7th, and you're right. That one season was kind of like an eye roll, but the characters in the show are so good. Like you could do a top 10 character list on this show, and not everybody's going to agree on it. We've discussed many times in the podcast, probably the best representation of a married couple with a kid on television,
and a really ugly baby.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
Gracie Bell.
Yeah, not good. Not good. But the football thing too is amazing because there's so many shows where they put sports in it, and it's clearly somebody that has nothing to do with sports, and they're like, yeah, that's football helmet, those are shoulder pads. That'll look fine. And it looks like shit. You'll have like a quarterback with like the big pads like this, or you'll have like the running, this one actually looked right. Whoever was on set with them deserves credit as being like, yeah, this would pass the sniff test. This is what high school football players in Texas probably looked like in the mid 2000s. Did you watch this?
I did not watch a ton of it. Also, it's one bad season. It's critically and fan pan season is during the writer strike. So,
yes,
so not ready for more of that.
Right. Yeah,
get ready for a lot more of that. You could probably pour through the archives. Davey and I tried to do a whole episode on Friday Night Lights, but it was like try to shoehorn all 5 seasons in. It was tough, but we did it anyway.
You can't do 15 minutes a season. You cannot do it.
No, it was rough. All right, who wants to take number 24?
I will do it because there is a show here at 24. Hey, speaking of Mac, you not feeling so well? Your tummy a little upset? You got a little rum in the tum? You want to stay home from school? We got a show for you. It's called The Price is Right.
All right, damn right.
Now, don't talk to me about Drew Carey and his, whatever. He got fat and then got skinny. Now he's just weird looking, Drew Carey.
Got a beard.
I'm talking full on skinny microphone. Bob Barker, Price is Right is for me.
Yeah. Barker's Beauties. Yeah. I'll get you.
Anyone famous come out of that coaching tree?
Probably not.
I don't think it should be this high. I'll go ahead and toss this out at you.
What?
Look, I understand. Everyone's seen it. Everyone would stay home and watch the game show.
Yeah.
But greatest television shows of all time, we have it at number 24.
I did not have it in my list. It was not in my top.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
I think I added the 2 game shows on this list that were on my list, but not this high.
Yeah, a lot of people clearly voted for this to get it up to number 24. It is one of the all-time game shows, but even then, I think it's up for debate. Like, there's a couple other game shows that I really like. Spoiler, one did make the list, but a couple that I think are kind of in the conversation did not. I did like this. Dane Cook has a good bit on the on what if the fucking big spinning wheel thing was filled with blood. Well, that's a good bit.
Also, the show is directed and produced by Adam Sandler, but not the Adam Sandler.
Interesting.
Adam Sandler.
Yes.
Huh.
It's just a Adam Sandler.
Hey, Adam Sandler. Why should I change my name?
He's the one who sucks.
He does not suck.
No, I know. No, but that's the line. That's the end of the. Why should I be the one who changes my name? He's the one who sucks.
Yeah, but Adam Sandler doesn't suck. I understand what the line is, but I wouldn't even bear myself to say it. What if you could play one game on there? What would the game be?
I think just out of tradition, I would want to spin the wheel.
Oh yeah,
but
you'd want to spin the wheel. You'd want to do the final showcase.
Oh, you want to win
would
both
be the one
showcases.
individual game.
Close. You won both showcases.
But I would do the yodeling one or Plinko.
Yep, the yodeling.
Cliffhanger.
Plinko.
Cliffhanger.
Plinko.
Yeah.
Yodeling is cliffhanger. Plinko, I feel like you never really win big money, but it's probably the most iconic one that you'd.
Yeah.
It's the most exciting, and I want to feel how much weight are in those pucks.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now,
if you imagine going like $100 over the showcase, how fucking stupid you'd feel.
I'm so fucking dumb.
Yeah, you'd be such a stupid idiot.
Did you know? Here's a nice little. Someone reposted. You reposted the. My dad actually commented on the AC Slater story on Instagram, giving me a hard time for talking shit about my mother. So I'll say something nice. When my mom let me stay home from school, whoever lost the showcase showdown, I had to make lunch. That was our deal.
How do you like that? Not bad. Yep. Nice little competitive spirit there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah, no, I watched this. This came on at 11 sharp. You'd always have like a toast and a ginger ale, and you'd sit down and you'd watch Price is Right. Now, I think you would have to, at some point, if you got called up there, you're thinking pretty early on, if I ever get to bid last, you have to go dollar, right? Like that
either dollar or $1 over the highest bid.
Right.
Yes.
That's such a signature move, just the $1, Bob. Like it's just puts you on the map.
I would also stare at the person that I'm undercutting and just let them know you're not going to win.
Just look down the line.
You have
like
no
that.
chance, bud. You better.
What did that guy say? What did that guy say?
You better get
$901.
There's a good YouTube. There's like a bunch of people who ended up being kind of famous that were on that. But Aaron Paul from
Paul's the big one.
Dad was one of the funny ones that he's running up there like a real silly goose. All right, so you go 24 is Price is Right. 23 a show. Goo, I don't think. Did you watch this?
I will announce this one,
Okay.
one that I have not seen.
Okay.
But every time that I go to watch it, I always say, "Oh no! Every episode is 55 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch something on YouTube instead." And that is Succession.
Yeah, so I know Davies hasn't watched this either. This was one where so it ran from 18 to 23. It just concluded the fourth and final season. There's 39 total episodes on HBO. And I think there were 2 seasons in, and me and my wife had not watched it, and it was during 2020. So you're like, all right, we got to watch everything we possibly can. So we binged it then, and then we're like, I think we like it. So then I watched 3 and 4. And it's good. This is another one where the characters are really good. It's a world that I like. They're speaking Greek half the time, talking about.
Oh, Davey would love it then.
Yeah, exactly. He might be able to understand.
He was like, "They're speaking what?"
But no,
Wait,
Brian Cox, who is good in like everything, like good in Super Troopers, good in like.
He was on the Patriots, right?
He played linebacker.
Yeah.
He's good. This is like probably his best role, and he's however old he is now, like 70. But he is, or maybe even older, but he crushes it in this. So the story's all about him and then like his kids. But then Alexander Skarsgård is like a character in the final season. He jumps in as a guy that's trying to like buy this company. I don't know. It's good. It's really well acted. It's shot well. It's a classic Sunday night HBO show.
It's won a slew of awards.
It's won a shitload of awards. I had it on my list. I did not have it this high, but I did have it in my top 50. All right, number 22 on the list is a show that I am up to my hog in right now.
See, that's why I jumped on. I wanted you to start because I wanted you to talk about this one.
So number 22 is Lost, which Jason Rossi from the Pop Culture Pile Driver podcast, although those guys put out as many podcast episodes as like
they're actually a Scream podcast now. So as soon as Scream 8 comes out, or Scream 7, sorry.
Yeah, Scream 7's in the works. But Rossi had this number 1. And a lot of people had it on their list. And by the time we got around to voting, I was like 2 seasons in. And I'm like, I got to put it on there because I really, really like it. I know it could go kind of sideways, or maybe I like it more, whatever. But this ran from 2004 to 2010, 6 seasons, 121 episodes, which I think is the most daunting like binge I've ever attempted. Because like The Wire is 60 episodes. I didn't watch that live. I was behind on some shows that then I caught up. So by no means did I have 100 episodes in front of me. But it was a show on ABC. So I certainly remember all the commercials for it, like during Monday Night Football or whatever. Like you'd see it all the time. And like, so the characters are very recognizable. Evangeline Lilly is, I think it's like where she got really kind of kicked off.
This was like her breakout role. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it, dude. It's the sci-fi stuff. There's good intrigue, similar to Yellow Jackets in a way where they show you like the present, then they go to the past, then there's like some future. So like they're jumping around times as they tell the story. Another show where there's just a ton of characters that you're invested in. So I always heard it was good, but this came out when I was in college, and I'm like, I'm not really gonna sit around and watch a show every single week. I couldn't really commit to that, but. So I'm super late to it, but I love it. I love Lost.
It was the very first show I think I watched that I understood like water cooler talk, because I forget what day of the week it was on, but I remember like the next day, like everyone talking about it. Mm-hmm. And that's something I guess with streaming services, I guess you miss now, is that like, you know, going into school or going into work and like talking to people about the show the next day.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like just like to hear what everybody thought. And as you're like you said, you're full tang into it now. So you're probably wondering like, where the hell is this going? And you try to like formulate those things like as you go.
Oh yeah. You have theories like nonstop. Like even when the plane first crashes, you're immediately coming up with theories and you're immediately thinking of stuff and like what this could be, what's going on. They give you all these little breadcrumbs. And I know, and even people in the chat right now are saying like, I've heard, I don't know what it is. I've been able to block it out of my mind, and hopefully
no one in the chat spoiled the show. No one tell Keefe what happens at the end of the show.
Yeah, he hasn't seen the whole thing yet, you dummies.
No. But they're just saying. I've heard the finale's bad, or a lot of people don't like the finale, so that's fine. I understand. We'll see. But so now I'm like trying to figure out what it's going to be and if I'll be mad or not. But
it's all in a character's mind. He's laying in a hospital bed, and it's all in his mind.
No, it's in a snow globe.
Tommy Westfall.
Yeah.
Tommy Westfall even worse. Let's see. It's on Freevee right now, like through Prime. So if anybody else wants to take that journey that I'm on, and me, Davey, and Rossi are going to do an episode at some point. Whenever I finish this, we will do an episode on Lost, which may be a 4-hour episode, but we are for sure going to do it.
So I'll move us along right away. Nice segue.
Yep.
At Show 21, a lot like Lost, there's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of people climbing inside other people's penises and blowing them up.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The Boys, number 21, which I said that flippantly. There is no real parallel between the two. But
both good.
Probably the best show on Amazon Prime right now, I would say, and something that's kind of keeping that streaming service afloat.
Well, I mean, you could argue with so many shows wrapping up this past year, it might be the best show left that's still running.
On Amazon Prime?
No, I'm saying in general.
Ooh.
With Succession, Barry, Atlanta, all those shows wrapping up over the last year or so.
Better Call Saul
might be the best one left. Yeah. Better Call Saul.
So.
Yeah. This is a show that, like, from the very first episode, I had read the first volume of trades, the first trade, at your recommendation, Rich, I think, and just a great adaptation of one comic book property into a television program. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I would say that I loved season 1 for, being so new and fresh, but the fact that I don't know if it got better in season 2, but season 3 did get better. And they're leading you down a path of at least 2 more years and a spinoff that looks great.
Yeah, I agree. I like it a lot. I've read the whole book, Bragg, and I was also reading, like, at the end of, like, the collected editions, they give you, like, these little, like, write-ups and stuff and whatever, like, from the publishers and blah, blah, blah. So it's a Garth Ennis comic. Garth Ennis has written a ton of awesome stuff, including Preacher. And apparently when he first pitched this idea for The Boys, he wanted to use, like, real DC characters. So he went to DC with it and was like, he was going to have Superman really be like Homelander. And, like, and it's because if you watch the show and if you read the book, like, every single character is just an offshoot of somebody else. Like,
it's like we have Superman at home.
Yeah. So, like, Captain America is Soldier Boy and, like, whatever. So they tweak them a little bit, but it would have been hilarious if they took all of, like, those real characters and made them such fucking assholes like they are.
But it's funny because, like, we talked a lot about when we did Watchmen, like, really Dr. Manhattan is, like, what Superman would be like had that character existed in the real world. Like, I think he just would have gotten so bored of everyone's bullshit.
It's also funny too because if they tried to write it now and they pitched it to James Gunn, he'd probably say, "Yeah, go ahead."
He's like, "This is great.
This is awesome. I love it."
And I think part of him probably envies this as well.
Oh, absolutely does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a little bit there with Peacemaker, which is cool, but I think when you really think about Superman and Clark Kent, if Clark Kent were an asshole, and there's that great line from Bruce Wayne that's like, the reason, like, Clark is the way he is he's fundamentally a good person and I'm not.
Well, hey,
like, what if
Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of Bruce, speaking of Batman, at number 20, I think should be higher on the list, is Batman, the animated series, starting in 1992, an animated series that revolutionized what a kid's program can be. They flipped it on its head, had the dark palette in the background, gave you more sophisticated stories with the characters. The voice acting is everywhere. Every single character on the show is voiced perfectly. They also gave it a rebrand after season 3, a new paint of coat, if you will, on the characters. Touch those all up. They all look great. And then in season 5, when it's Batman and Robin Adventures, even better. Like, they kept on adding more and more to it. And then this show slowly trickled into Batman Beyond, another great show.
A nice paint of coat.
Nice paint of coat.
This show's sick, and it's the voice acting too, and it's also what makes, like, the Arkham video games so good. Like, that, it just takes you into a like perfect Batman and the story. Like, he's never more of a detective than he is, I feel like, in this animated series and the video game. Like, there's a lot of overlap between the two, and this finds a way to highlight the entire group of villains.
Yeah, and it even starts
to pick and choose, and some of them do a shitty job. But like the best Mr. Freeze thing is in Batman the Animated Series. The best like like go down the line, they're all pretty much in from this series.
The show even starts out by not going too Joker heavy. It's Clayface early on, it's Man-Bat early on, and they get all those characters out of the way. And like you said with Mr. Freeze, Heart of Ice is something that they haven't been able to replicate anywhere else.
No. It's sick.
They did a little bit, and they hinted at it again to bring up the Rockstar video games. They did it a little bit in those games, and they kind of hinted at those things. But and I know we're talking about the animated series, but giving us the definitive voices of all of those iconic characters and then transferring them into what could be considered one of the greatest video games of all time as well in the Arkham series. I mean, that was because you had not only Kevin Conroy, but Mark Hamill and Tara Strong.
Tara Strong,
as Harley Quinn.
Who did not start out as Harley Quinn.
Right.
I believe she was Batgirl on the show, and then she eventually slipped over there. The original one was Harleen Sorkin? ?
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know.
I would like to give her credit. I just can't think of the IMDb right now.
Trivia, whatever it is. But yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yes, Arlene Sorkin. You're right.
Thank you. Put it on my immaculate grid of voiceover actors. I did it.
Crushed it. All right, coming in at number 19 on our list is the second game show, and that would be Jeopardy! Debuted in 1964. You know, NBC syndication, 39 plus seasons, 8,000 plus episodes. I didn't vote for this. I didn't have any game shows, and
look, I don't think any game show should be in the top 50. All right, guys.
I didn't have it.
I know Keith. You had 50 people voting on this. You had 100 people. You went to a mall and you asked 100 people.
Everybody I saw. Yeah, everybody I saw at the mall. I went up to them. I stole a fry off.
It was like Family Feud. Yeah.
I was talking real loud on my phone like my dog was loose, and then I was like, "Can you fill this out?" And they did.
This is a show I am no longer welcome to play among my in-laws because they play with each other and they claim that I read the questions too fast.
You're cheating. You got to listen. You can't.
Apparently, that's cheating. Yeah. If I read the question faster than Alex Trebek could read it, I'm cheating.
I have not I used to watch like a decent amount, just like if I was home. I actually work at night now. Brag. I'm not home at 7:30.
Really? You get to sleep in. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Congrats on the new show.
Thanks, dude. And so every night at 7:30 for a while there, like me and my wife would have it on and whatever, and we'd play or whatever. But I don't think I've seen an episode since Alex Trebek. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you if Ken Jennings and Blossom are any good. I don't know.
Doesn't even wear a hat.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't mind that it's on the list necessarily, but I do feel like that is aggressively high.
I mean, I think it was on my list pretty high.
Okay.
Because there was this whole not to tell everyone how the sausage was made, but there was a group chat going on, and someone asked whether or not game shows should be included, and you said yes. So that planted the seed in my mind.
No,
you're right. You're absolutely right. But what I'm saying is
anything. I vote for whatever you want.
Yeah, but it planted the seed in my head that there should be a game show somewhere on here.
I mean, you could have voted for the 6:00 news for all I care.
Press your luck. No whammies. Stop.
All right. So this is a minor spoiler, but so these are the two game shows that made it. I think Family Feud is like just as good as these two.
I agree.
There was and Goo's going to hate me for this.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Goo was going to hate me for this, but the Richard Karn's years were not great.
Richard Karn sucks.
All right, good.
Why would I hate you?
Zero personality. Yeah, Al Borland sucked as a.
No. Read the questions really close to his face.
Yep.
We had close to Steve Harvey, who you're not even sure if he's reading the questions. He's just saying whatever he thinks.
What's your essay, player? Okay. Yeah. Number 18, a delightful show that I actually binge watched the whole thing because I came to it late. Schitt's Creek. What a just a beam of light. A kind of a Ted Lasso-esque feel-good show.
That's a good comparison because much like Ted Lasso kind of falls off.
See, it didn't for me. What I loved about this show is that the first 3 episodes of the show, I really wanted to hate that entire family, and they wouldn't let me. I couldn't. You know, like how unlikable all of them were.
I think my issue is that everyone else liked it too much, and that then soured me on that.
Yeah, people hyped it up. I've seen like 5 episodes of this, and I watched the beginning because I like everybody that's involved in it, and I just didn't fucking get into it right away, and then I kind of bailed. My wife loves it, and she did have a vote on this, and she voted for it pretty high. But I was like, I don't know, and she's like, it gets better. She's like, if you stayed with it, you would have liked it more. And I'm like, I get it, but I haven't gone back. Yeah.
Once they get more involved with the town and don't hate the town, it gets better.
Yeah, I mean, I would personally say the middle seasons of like 3, 4, and 5 is kind of where it falls off for me, and then 6 does not do it for me at all. But it's a nice send off.
All right.
And I would, again, the 3rd season of any TV show is the make or break season. If it's going to be a great show, the 3rd season has to be dope.
I gotcha.
Like The Office is the best season of The Office is season 3. I don't care what anyone says.
Season 2 is really good too.
I like
season 3 is so good though. That's the one where like it starts with Gay Witch Hunt, and it's the best season.
No, I know. No, I'm not, Davey. First off, we're not talking about The Office yet. That's coming later on.
Maybe we won't. Yeah.
Maybe we're talking about the British one. I don't.
We're talking about the British Office, which was only 2 seasons and a holiday special.
Yeah, that was good too.
But the other Office, there's 2 seasons that are far above the other ones, and then 3 seasons that are kind of stacked in there, and then some other ones that are.
Well, we did the Office episode draft on Mac and Goo, and I feel like all of my picks were either. You know what? I don't sleep on the first season. First season episodes, because I want to say all my were from the first 3 seasons, and like that's kind of where I lived in my draft.
Who got dinner party?
I think that was me. I think win. Yeah, I think the first overall pick was Scott's Tots.
Oh, oof.
No, it wasn't.
All right, we're not talking about The Office, goddammit.
No, we're not. We're not wasting time this episode, guys.
Schitt's Creek is good. Watch Schitt's Creek. I think it's appropriately placed for where it is.
I think it's on Crackle.
It's on Crackle?
It was on shit. It was on Crackle, but it was on something else. It was on like BBC America or something like that. I forget what channel it was originally on.
It's syndicated elsewhere now too.
It was a Canadian show. It was on CBC, and then
it was. No, but I'm trying to name it.
Was it the Pop Network?
I think it was on Pop.
It was on Pop.
Yeah, they had TV shows and they had great chips.
Win-win.
Yeah, salt and vinegar. It's good.
All right, coming in at number 17 on our list is a show that recently wrapped up from 2015 to 2022, 6 seasons, 63 episodes on AMC. Talking about Better Call Saul, which is another show where I thought it was good right away, but it actually got better as it went. They kind of leaned on the Saul and his brother, played by Michael McKean, who's great, but I don't know. I felt like that was dragged out a bit. And then once they kind of went full tilt into like this is Breaking Bad, like this is what it's going to be, or like a prequel to Breaking Bad, then they kind of found their footing, and holy smokes, was this one of the best shows on TV for 6 consecutive years. I didn't think you could do a show as much as we liked Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad, and you're like, hey, he's getting his own show. You're like, all right, this should be good. And it was way better than I thought it could be. The character of Kim Wexler, who was not involved at all in Breaking Bad, it was just created for this show. And it's probably like a top 20 character of all these shows that we're talking about. So I love Better Call Saul. We've done a couple of different season podcasts that you can go back in the archives and check out. I think I had this even higher. Yeah,
I think I did too.
I had it 15, so maybe not much higher, but I had it 15. It comes in at 17.
And I think the testament to this show and why I think the show should be higher is this show had to come out. Think of like if they did like a spin-off of The Sopranos with like, what's her name? His psychologist.
Yeah, Lorraine Bracco. Yeah.
Yeah, and that show had to at times be better than its predecessor. Like I think there are moments in Saul that are better than a lot of moments in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And I think this is the most compelling character from that show. It's the only one you could have done a spinoff with, and they absolutely fucking crushed it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Did you watch this?
I'm 4 seasons in. I am very, very sorry, but
Hey.
I don't want to.
What do you think so far?
I think it's great. Obviously, I'm more than half of what I've seen has been like the Jimmy and his brother stuff.
Yeah.
So
it gets better.
I'm just getting into like the Breaking Bad. Yeah. I didn't want to just jump into a conversation that I didn't know a lot about.
You know enough. I mean, you know enough. You've seen 4 seasons. You know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, you got a bunch.
And what a by the way, what a performance. I know you've seen this now by Michael
McKeon?
No. He was other Michael. He was
Jonathan
Scorpion in Matt Gorgon in Spider-Man.
Oh,
Michael Manzo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that his name?
I don't know his name. I know who you're talking about on the show though.
So good. Nacho?
Yeah. Nacho on the show.
Nacho Libre.
Yep. Wrestling movie.
Someone will help me out in the chat. Yeah.
All right, Goo, why don't you take number 16?
At number 16 is a show that I thought, if it was just one season, was a perfect one season time capsule, but they've given us 2 more good ones and then another great one, and that is Stranger Things. Season 4 of Stranger Things takes it to a whole new level. And like I said, I think after season 3, I was saying to myself, I think this would have been the perfect one-off show. Obviously, they wouldn't have done that because of how popular it was, because I think season 1 is perfect. I think those 10 or 12 episodes, whatever it is. But I thought that first season is perfect. Season 2 is good, but it tries to find itself and it doesn't quite get there. And then season 3 is way too polished. But then season 4 adds that whole new layer of the Freddy Krueger stuff and the way that it plays with music, how they keep on evolving all the characters, introducing new characters. I'm very excited for season 5.
And I think, like you said, there was this one blazing hot. And I really think, wasn't season 1 like 8 episodes?
It was actually 8. Yeah, I was going to tell you.
Okay,
so it went 8. Okay. It went 8, 9, 8. And then they did the thing where they did 7, and then they took a little bit of a break, and then they came out with those 2 really long ones.
I'll say, but also with season 4, there are several that are over an hour / they're over 2 hours? Question mark?
I think because they split it up into 2 parts, and the second part was only 2 episodes, but they were super long, so it's like a little bit weird. And then
I remember the last 2 like an hour and a half each or something. It was like it was like 3 hours of shit.
And then I'm seeing Joe Gugliano over here. He's commenting Barb.
Barb.
To Barb and to all the other one-off characters that care about these characters. I don't care about those characters.
But you're right though. The show kind of did like this dip kind of, and then spiked back up this last season.
Oh, absolutely. It was season 3 in the mall was fine television, but it wasn't up to those standards of what they gave us, especially in season 1. And then a lot of people like season 2 more than 1. I'm not with them on that. But season 4 might be better.
Did you feel like 3, like the nostalgia member berries thing that they've been doing with all of the stuff? I like it when it's subtle. And 3, they were just with the mall. They were just kind of hitting you over the head with it too much.
They weren't advancing the story as well as they could. And then in season 4, by introducing Vecna there, that's a completely new character, and it ties all of the other 3 seasons into it. The other one's like, hey, remember that monster from last year? Here's a slightly different version of that monster.
You're right. It made the other seasons even better. So even if you love the other seasons, they're actually stronger because of it. I like all of the seasons. I agree with you. Like it does dip a little bit in 3, but you get some really good Steve and Dustin stuff in 3.
Steve's great. Yeah.
Steve's incredible. And not to talk sports here, but here's a sports analogy for you. So last year, Jaron Duran sucked as a baseball player. He said the dumbest shit when he was getting interviewed. Nobody liked him. Everybody wanted him out of town. Mm-hmm. This year, he's like the most electric leadoff hitter in the league. The guy he's awesome. And so you're like, who goes like a 180 like that? And I was like, Steve Harrington. Steve Harrington was one of your least or your most hated characters.
Hated him.
Yeah. You wanted him to get punched in the schnoz. And since then, I think he's the best character on the entire show. He's my favorite. He's my favorite character.
Yeah, and I would kind of compare him to in season 1 of Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul was supposed to be killed off. But because they found this charm with him and they're like, no, we have to keep this guy around. At the end of season 1 of Stranger Things, they're like, no, Steve needs more storylines.
Yeah. Steven Dustin is fantastic.
Did you know
Go ahead.
that in Lost, Jack was supposed to be played by Michael Keaton?
What?
And Jack was supposed to die like in like 3 episodes, and Michael Keaton didn't want to commit to like a whole series.
Makes sense. He didn't really want to work at that time.
He didn't want to commit to like a whole television thing, but like Jack was supposed to die early, and I believe it was supposed to be Michael Keaton.
That is insane because he's like the face of the show, basically.
Yeah,
I would have watched more.
That's crazy. I mean, we're liked it more, but yeah, I'm looking forward to when is season. Probably with the writer's strike. Who the fuck knows?
Who knows with any of this stuff, right?
And season,
it might not even come back. Television might be over. This might be a recap of television in general.
These are just all of the shows. This literally is of all time.
Now that TV is over, here's the top 50 of all time.
This is it. This is the list that you got to watch. All right, coming in at number 15 on our list is a show that ran from 03 to 06, and then it got rebooted and had episodes between 13 and 19. 5 total seasons, 84 episodes, originally on Fox, rebooted on Netflix, and that show is Arrested Development.
If you stopped after 03 to 06, I feel like this would have been top 10. This might have been top 5.
I had it kind of low on my list. It was clearly in my top 50.
Yeah.
I had it at 35, which is too low, but it's also because I had to shut off the Netflix version. Like, it was so bad. It was insane to me how bad.
I watched season 4, which is their worst. And then I was watching season 5. I'm like, this is better than 4. But I still don't want to watch.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it because you're right. Those episodes, the first 2-3 seasons of that just rip. Every single character is funny. It's not one of those shows where it's like, all right, all the jokes are coming from 2. It's like, no, every single character is funny. The side character, like when Martin Short jumps in for a little bit, hysterical. Everybody's good on it. So yeah, I love it. I probably should have had it higher, but I'm good with it being 15.
But you can't have something again. You can't have something in the top 25, like in the top 5 or top 10, that has like, well, it's got 3 good seasons and 3 bad seasons. Like then it's not.
That's
a top
also
10
why
show.
it's so high. But what I'm saying though is, if it didn't come back,
it could have
been
just
higher. Those 3 seasons.
No, yeah, I agree.
That's why it's so high. But because I would also say, I think the first 2 seasons might be the best live action comedy series ever. I think that the first 2 seasons, just from what they give you, like starting from season 1, because usually comedies, sitcoms, Dave, you said this, season 3 is usually where like shows take off. But the fact this show hit the ground running from episode 1 and just ran through until the end of season 2. Season 3 is kind of up its own ass, but the first 2 seasons are just electric.
I remember watching the first couple episodes of this in college and telling people that it's one of the funniest shows on TV and nobody believing me.
Right.
And what I loved about it is it was like the whole show, if you started it from the beginning, if you've never seen an episode of that show and you binge watch the first 3 seasons, you're in on like these inside jokes that the characters have with each other. Like it has like these really funny like standalone moments, but the whole show is like one big recurring joke between the characters.
Who's your favorite
said, anytime a Bluth family member imitates a chicken, I laugh my ass off.
We do that in my house now because my son can't do it, so we just mock him with that.
Which one does he do? Does he do like the the Will Arnett one, or the
doo-doo-doo-doo?
Yeah. Oh, that's the Chicha.
Do you have a favorite character?
Me?
I don't even have a favorite. I love every character. I think from Lucille to Buster. I mean, Michael is the straight man, so it's tough to make him your favorite character.
Right.
But George Michael's great. Job is great.
Job fucking kills me.
But like the
Obviously
Buster
Tobias,
and Lucille Bluth, like the mother boy stuff, is so fucking funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
All right, somebody take 14.
Let's go. 14. I'll take this one. I'll take this one gladly. A show that was like seen like another show on the list, but Parks and Recreation. A show that first season, I'm like there's only, okay, this is going to sound bad. I thought watching the show, how much could I watch Amy Poehler every single week? She's just like super kinetic, super energetic, like kind of all over the place. Her nickname on Saturday Night Live, side note, was the Polar Coaster, because you never know what was going to happen with her.
Got it.
and I didn't really understand like how she could drive a show, but like Arrested Development, it's the side characters that drove this show. Characters that you would never thought would be in the show for as long as they were wind up being like main characters.
Well, good thing she chilled out and became the polar bear. I'm just kidding around, guys. I'm not sure if she's actually called it. I don't know her, even though she is from
Burlington.
Yeah, she is. This is a show where I loved season 2. And when they added Adam Scott and Rob Lowe, I was like, oh, why are they going to ruin the show by adding these characters? They made it way better. I thought that Mark Brandanowitz was the shit. And I'm like, get him out of here now. Get it. These two are like Adam Scott. I think like maybe outside of Danny DeVito joining the cast of It's Always Sunny or Kelsey Grammer joining Cheers. Like, I think Adam Scott joining Parks and Rec is one of the best additions to a sitcom ever.
He's so good. I was watching the show today because it's on Comedy Central, like 24 hours a day.
I gotta fill time, baby.
Whenever he's doing like his dorky thing, like his alpha dork thing, it's one of my favorite things. When he does like that like little fist pump when he like does something in the accounting firm. It's awesome. He nails it.
So I had this literally 51st on my list. It just missed my top 50. As I was reading everybody's list and like doing the math on it, I'm like, that was my big takeaway. I was just saying this out loud by myself in my house, being like, people fucking love Parks and Rec.
I had 17, so it's actually right around there.
Okay.
What I consider the greatest blooper of all time.
Oh, the absolute best one ever. It is
with him talking about
Chris
the
Pratt,
comeback story with Kim Kardashian.
Yes.
And might be the greatest blooper of all time.
Yes.
Aside from the frothy ejaculate bit from Anchorman 2.
Wow. Yes.
Or Billy the Cunt AIDS. Also great gag reels.
Yeah, no Ricky Gervais shows on this. He's got a few. Afterlife's a good show, but
Afterlife's a good show. Derek is a good show.
Ron Swanson, who's
Ron Swanson. Then you have Chris Pratt star-making role.
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza doing Aubrey Plaza.
Aziz Ansari.
Yep. All right, so that's pretty good. All right, so coming in, we're going comedy heavy right now. So coming in at number 13 is a show that is still on the air,
19 years,
and still good. It debuted in 2005. The 16th season, I think, just wrapped up. 170 episodes and counting. Ran on FX and now currently FXX. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
So like I just said, adding Danny DeVito in season 2, it obviously saved the show. They were going to get canceled after season 1. But even just the way that it's shot once he's involved, the way that it's written is completely different. The way that it's acted is completely different. They really hit their stride right around midway season 2. Seasons 3 and 4 are amazing. And then there's like season 7 when Matt gets fat. There's just like these random one-off seasons. And then I will admit that I did dip out. Maybe I missed the Irish year. I missed when they were in Ireland, and maybe the season prior to that.
That was probably 14.
And that was their worst season.
Yes. But no, because I think one of the last episodes that I saw was the episode where Matt came out. And I thought that was one of the most perfect It's Always Sunny episodes where every character like was perfectly played up. And they all did exactly what, it's not what you expected them to do, but they all did what they do best. And then I did catch the season premiere of this year, and it was just as good. It was amazing.
Season.
Yes.
Yeah. I was laughing every episode, laugh out loud, funny every episode. This show can just apparently go forever, and sneaky the supporting cast, like the outside of the big five, I guess it would be, is like the McPoyles and like Cricket and like the cast.
Artemis.
Dude.
Gail the Snail.
I bleached my asshole.
Did you watch the bowling episode from this
that?
episode?
I was crying laughing. That was one of my favorites.
Snail, both in it. Yeah. That's great.
I love the scene too. Dennis punched the punching bag thing, and he was like triumphant, and then turns around and is like, "I have just shattered my entire hand."
It's soup. He goes, "It's like
that was the line. It's like it's just soup.
It's just like it's like a brothy mess or whatever you called it." He's like, it is
but I love that this you see in the beginning these characters who are absolute scumbags, and then instead of being like, all right, let's make this more palatable, let's make these characters more likable, they're like, no, fuck it. Everyone is just going to be a complete degenerate.
And at the start of every episode, they're going to forget what they learned from last week, and we're just going to start over again.
Yeah, they're all very much standalone. Like it's almost it's like early South Park where it's just like, all right, next episode, where it doesn't really matter. I like how they've kind of changed it where, not that he's smart, but like Charlie has kind of become the smartest of the group.
Like from like a morality standpoint, he's just kind of like the neutral. Like he's not.
Yeah.
He's just dumb. Like he's not mean. He's dumb. Everyone else is a fucking asshole.
Everyone's an asshole, but like Mac now is even dumber than Charlie. Like I would say,
yes,
legit, straight up dumber than he is.
Eating the nuts, and he wants to blow up the furniture. It's inflation, guys.
Oh man,
I did like Project Badass though, and at the time that came out, I was like, I've done things like that.
I also still think one of the hardest I've ever laughed is the episode where Mac and Charlie kill themselves, or fake kill themselves. And when Mac does the popper and then drives directly into the wall, and Charlie's reaction of, Mac! Mac! And he starts to yell, fucking killed me.
He's like, it's going too fast. Let's go too fast. And I love when the grenade goes off in the car, but it doesn't. Yes. It does what a grenade does. It doesn't blow up. It just kind of like blows shrapnel everywhere, and the car just goes like, eh.
Yeah. My favorite episode still is Lethal Weapon 5 because it's them trying to pitch this movie to like banks, which makes no sense. So they're going to like banks to like raise money, I guess, and they're showing them clips of the movie. So they've already filmed the movie, and it's incredibly offensive, but it's just that I love it. And they swap out characters at one point. Like, it kills me.
Mine is Charlie McDennis, the Game of Games.
Yeah.
When Dennis gets the dart in his hand and he can't yell or make a noise, it's one of the most electric scenes in that show.
How about when they start a podcast? Which is kind of funny because they literally do have a podcast now, but they start a podcast and then like they don't know what to talk about. And then at one point they have like Cricket comes in and is just like eating lemons. And he's just like, he's like,
it's good for my scurvy.
Because Frank has a bag of lemons. And like the stuff that's it's like there's no
We're going to drink soup out of his shoe.
Yeah. Just stuck it down a lemon. Oh my God, it's good. All right, somebody take number 12.
So at number 12,
you go.
is a show that is almost at its 50th year anniversary, and that is Saturday Night Live, 48 seasons, almost 1,000 episodes. And the big issue here, the reason why it might not be higher is you might say it's a bit hit or miss.
Yeah, it definitely
is. That's
is.
being generous.
Well,
there were decades of this that were hit, that were missed.
Glass half full.
Yeah.
And your glass half empty.
No, what I'm saying is there are decades of this show that were miss.
So are you saying so you're saying in general though, not like they go 10 years where they suck in a row.
I would say that this show sucked for a good 8 years.
Give me the years.
I would say the Anthony Michael Hall years through.
Okay, the 80s did have some issues.
That was 85.
Yeah, that was 85.
But they also got back on track in 88. That's when they brought in Dana Carvey, Kevin Nealon,
Phil Hartman.
Yeah, Lovitz was there from the 85 season. Hartman, huge, yeah. And then after that, they added Michael Myers, and then after that, Adam Sandler. So,
but there was like that years. What was that guy who was like played Sweet Chuck in Police Academy?
Joe Piscopo?
No, I mean personally, I don't find the sketches from like the 70s funny. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, but they were ahead of
I understand
time,
at that
obviously.
time people thought it was hilarious, but I don't think old shit's funny, Keefe.
I know.
It didn't happen in the 90s. It didn't happen at all.
I like old stuff. I don't want to talk. I like old stuff.
Don't watch if you don't like that stuff.
The show didn't start until they got John Lovitz.
Right. That's probably true. No, but like even early 80s, you had the Eddie Murphy stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I think the best of Eddie Murphy reel.
Eddie Murphy's great.
Amazing.
Yes. And also that one season where they had, who is it? Martin Short,
Christopher Guest.
Yes. And it was one other, right? Billy Crystal. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yes. Charlie Rocket Weekend Update sucked. That was bad.
Yeah, but this is a tough one because if you do pull out like the best stuff, or just because of like what it is. Like it is so different than any
all the
other
stars
show.
from the show as well.
Oh, it's insane. Well, that was actually my next idea for a GUniverse vote. I don't know if we'll have 16 people vote again, but anyway, best top 50 SNL. What would you call them? Players,
sketches.
So my question to you,
or you do sketches.
Not sketches.
Would be, but on the show or since leaving the show?
No, only on the show.
Okay, so like Robert Downey Jr. sucked on the show. He was terrible. One of his
he was also on every drug imaginable.
One of his characters, Davey, was Luggage Boy, where he put himself in a thing of luggage.
No,
I know, but like
Dana Carvey would be like super high up, even though like his movies are like,
or like Chris Kattan would be way up there, even though he hasn't made. Don't give me Corky Romano. That movie's fucking. There's one funny thing in Corky Romano. That's it.
Anyone?
Monkey Bone.
A Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah,
that episode of How I Met Your Mother where he plays Ted in the movie.
How come Mango never got his own movie?
I think there was like talks of that. There was like
great. I remember the Ben Affleck.
No, what was the monkey he played?
Oh, Mr. Peepers.
Mr. Peepers. Yeah.
Yeah, he and The Rock had a good one with The Rock.
What about the It's Pat movie? Have you guys seen that?
No.
Davey, are you asking me if I own it? Why, yes. Yes, I do. I would pull it out from behind me, but I had to move rooms, so I no longer have it with me.
Oh, my God. That's brutal.
If you're asking me, well, Goo, do you own It's Pat and The Ladies' Man? I do.
I think they were all kind of put to shame, though. Like I think MacGruber retires the best character spinoff, not best, actor like Anchor.
Right, and the movie,
I'm saying,
we obviously love it, but the movie it also didn't make any money, so they're not going to keep on making those.
Didn't make a penny, but they made a show which I think should have been on our list, and it didn't make our list.
That is true. I don't think there's ever going to be like another Saturday Night Live
like
character movie.
Wayne's World like broke the world. Like everyone's like, this is the best. And then SNL's like, oh, we can make all of our characters into movies. And then they made It's Pat. They made Coneheads, and they all just tanked.
Yeah, Wayne's World, Night at the Roxbury.
Superstar.
There was a script for
Blues Brothers 2000.
No,
that was one.
Hans and Franz.
Yep.
And
Arnold Schwarzenegger wouldn't sign on to be in it.
Right. There was also one for
because that was the joke, Davey, is that they wanted to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie.
Oh, I get it.
One of the recent ones, I think they wanted to make a Stefan movie, but they were like, well, what the fuck with the movie?
How could you possibly stretch it into 90 minutes?
I don't know. They did it with the other ones.
Because really, by the end of that, like during its 15th sketch of it, during its 15th run, you're like, I think we get it.
My favorite one, and obviously everybody knows by now, like John Mulaney would write the stuff, and you would like put different stuff in there, and Hater would Cortez. That was it. That was the one that cracked me up the most, is when he said MTV's Dan Cortez twice in one sit down. He's like, this place has everything. It's got MTV's Dan Cortez, and then like 30 minutes later, he's like, this place has everything. He's like, cactus growing out of ceilings, MTV's Dan Cortez. Oh, I fucking lost it.
MTV Sports was my honorable mention. It didn't make the list.
Should have put it higher.
All right, coming in at number 11 on our top 50 TV shows of all time is a show that is also still on the air. It debuted in 1997, 26 episodes, or 26 seasons, 325 episodes and counting on Comedy Central. That would be South Park.
And this is kind of like 3 or 4 different shows in one.
Yeah.
Where at the beginning, it's completely different than what, say, season 5 until 11 is. And then from 11 until 20, it's completely different than the others. And once season 24 is when they started doing the continuous stories.
Yeah.
It's a completely different show once again.
Maybe even longer. And then, and they were doing continuous stories, and they changed it, and they were doing them like SNL. They're doing them like once a week. And there's that special on Comedy Central that aired with like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, like
one of the best ones.
And
speaking of Bill Hader, he was. I'm not even sure if he wrote on the show. He just sat in the meetings and laughed. That was his job.
Yeah, he did voiceover. He did voice work and he wrote on the show.
Yeah,
but on like in those specials though, they didn't show him doing anything besides sitting at the table and laughing.
Just getting high and laughing. Yeah.
I don't think Trey Parker gets enough credit for being like one of the smartest like comedy minds of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's insane, and like I know people know who he is, and like the movie got like an Oscar nomination and like whatever else, but
like he hasn't made any money from this.
What, South Park?
That was a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I hope you're kidding.
What I'm disappointed in though is that he hasn't done more movies, because the South Park movie was great. Yeah. Basketball is hysterical.
Orgasmo.
They're all great. Like all three of them are really good movies. Like he should do more movies. And then
Team America.
Oh, right, 4 movies. He's got 4 great movies. And then Book of Mormon is a huge success. That was good. I saw that when like the offshoot came to Boston a few years ago. It was pretty good.
Also, I mean, so many iconic characters on this show, and the way that they developed Randy into being one of those characters is also an amazing journey.
I remember watching the one with the Little League World Series, and I thought this was America. And I remember thinking Randy Marsh has just become the best character on TV.
Yeah, because it was Cartman. It was Cartman for like a while, and then I think Butters took it for like a season or 2, and then it's been Randy probably since.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's the group. All right, let's get into our top 10. What do you got, Dave?
I will say at number 10, and I know that you've gotten some scuff on Twitter of people saying all of these shows are from the year 2000 and on, and this show might be the reason why this kind of set the mood for what television should be over the next 25 years, and that is The Sopranos. This perfected television and made everyone try harder, made everyone work harder to become the next Sopranos.
Yeah, it's probably true. And it's funny that HBO like sort of started as like, oh, this is like it's home box office. Like we get the movies, and like the movies show up here, and like this is what you want. But I don't know. We should probably count it up at the end of this list. There are so many HBO shows in particular. And like to Goo's point, Sopranos kind of inspired everything, let alone that important Sunday night slot on HBO. But yeah, this is a show that I didn't watch live. I ended up going back after the fact and binge watching the entire thing. I do think what separates it from some of the, in my opinion, truly like elite top tier shows is there's filler. Like we were talking about like Arrested Development. Like you're like, you got to ignore this, or like a couple other shows. Like I don't think Sopranos. I mean, it's 86 episodes, which is a lot. I don't think the whole thing is fucking like nails. Like a couple of my top 5 shows are, but this is clearly one of the great shows of all time. You have one of the great characters, actually a few of the great characters of all time. So I'm glad it made our top 10. It wasn't in my personal top 10, but I have no problem with it being this high.
It's more than just a TV show. That's the big thing here, is that so many times, especially for actors and for writers, they usually view television as being lesser than movies. This put them on the same level.
I'm going to say something, knowing that you're here, Goo, with us today, that's going to be controversial for you.
If it's something that is bashing my Italian background, Davey, I will slap the gabagool off of your face.
It's just when Italian Americans make this whole show their personality.
That's don't you dare attack my people.
Like, no, their Italian people are very nice. Yet, it's when people are like, everything in their story has somehow connecting to like Tony Soprano. Or like, you know, there's always like this shit that like people do that like takes it away.
There's a Tony Soprano in all of our families. Come on, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was in my top 10. It's a great show. It really, really is. From a television drama standpoint, it's a great show. It's just that like it has like that Scarface effect where people read way too much into it than needs to be.
Just attacking more of my people. Attacking more of my people. It's fine. Let's bash the Italians on Dork. That's fine, Dave.
I also saw it differently than a lot of people. And so by the time I saw it, it had already been recognized as like a top 2 or 3 show of all time. So then I was like, I thought it was going to be a little bit better. I liked it.
No, but also I think since then it's been passed.
That's true.
I think this set a new standard for television.
That's fair.
I agree with that.
I have no problem with that.
That's why it's not number 1.
All right,
Rich, would you like to take us to number 9?
I would love to. Coming in at number 9 is a show that has run for 3 seasons and counting, 18 total episodes. It debuted in 2019 on Netflix, and that would be one of the favorites on this podcast. That would be I Think You Should Leave.
Any of these little fuckers ever pop out of the fucking wall and say, fuck, there's a horse cock in my room or a dog?
Or what about Stanzo brand fedoras?
Don't swear! Oh my God! What game show have you ever seen that had swearing in it?
I think what turned this around for me is like you pointed out I think Rich, you were the one who told me about the Bobby Moynihan on Stern?
Yeah.
When they were talking about the cast and he's like, we get this kid, Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
That to me, I was like, if those people think that he's funny.
They definitely do. Yeah.
And like he might be the funniest person on the planet right now.
I think he is. It's a certain kind of shtick. Like, I don't know if every I just think like the three of us and most of the people that listen to this podcast find that to be funny. Like, this wouldn't be hilarious to every single person on earth, but then again, it's comedy, so you're not going to find anything that's going to cover everybody's ground.
Everything shouldn't be funny to everybody,
and it can't be. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And this is so. Here's my one beef. I was going to save it till honorable mentions, but I'm gonna do it here because it's related. So this really bothered me. So I Think You Should Leave came in 9th from all of us. So 16 people voting had it 9th. Like, that's really 9th best show of all time. And yet the Detroiters did not make the top 50.
Well, no one ever watched the Detroiters. Like, I'm just starting to watch the Detroiters now.
But I'm just saying,
because of this.
But this show's been on long enough. I didn't watch it either until after the first season. And then I went and watched. There's only 2 seasons of Detroiters. And it's the same comedy. So if we as a collective group think this is the 9th best show, then Detroiters can't be that far off, because it's like, to me, it's fucking just as good.
But I'm only aware. I mean, I knew for whatever reason, like I remember seeing commercials for Detroiters and then just being like, and just like not watching it. So I was that weird guy from SNL.
Yeah.
But once I Think You Should Leave happened, and I went back at many requests and started watching it, and it is really fucking funny.
It's amazing.
Like, really funny.
Yeah.
I think the episode where he follows around Sam's dad's friend who's a clown at a party, waiting for him to do something funny, fucking kills me every single time.
The Big Rick Mahorn and Dearborn or whatever, when he's like selling his cars, is just so good. Like, the ads that they run. And then so Sudeikis is in the show, but he's also like one of the executive producers of it. So clearly those guys have a good relationship.
Yeah, he seems like, so Tim Robinson obviously was a writer on the show.
Right.
And then if you listen to anyone talk about, just prior to Robinson joining the show, one of the writers was JB Smoove. And if you hear anyone from that cast talk about, on Mondays, JB Smoove would always come in with the funniest sketch, and it always made no sense. It was just the way that he was pitching it.
Yeah, right. Well, and then what I like about the show too is like Sam Richardson, who's only used sparingly, and I Think You Should Leave. Like, he's obviously the co-star in the Detroiters. But as for I Think You Should Leave, I don't know how long he wants to do this for, but it has developed such like a cult following. I can't imagine. Like, I think they only re-up shows based on how many views or minutes, however they stream it on Netflix.
Great segue, by the way, if you want to stop it there.
Sure.
Because what happens when you have a sketch comedy show that becomes so popular that you just can't handle it anymore happened to number 8, which is Chappelle's Show.
But there was more network interference on Chappelle's Show. He was dealing with a different situation with Comedy Central.
Yeah, I think. That's just it. I mean, I think Netflix is basically being like, well, shit, people are watching this, and people are starting to bail on streaming services. Like, keep throwing all the shit at Tim Robinson you want, because we want to keep this going and do whatever you want. Whereas, like, for me, when you think about the 3 seasons of Chappelle's Show, probably the best sketch comedy show ever. We'll see what happens with I Think You Should Leave, but in terms of sketch comedy, I really think Chappelle's Show, those 3 from 2003 to 2006, I remember that being like a weekly event. Like, I remember sitting around a TV in college watching with people. And I remember the very first time I'd seen an episode and someone was like, remember they did the Rick James episode and they kind of split it in half.
Yeah.
And there was like a commercial break and then they came back to the story. Someone came out of their room and got me and was like, you need to come watch this. Like I was doing something and they're like,
good. Yeah.
It's like, you need to come watch this right now because this is the funniest shit I've ever seen. And I remember watching and then going back and watching the first half, but it was mind blowing how good this show was.
Then they even came out with like when Dave left and they still squeezed out a few of like the deleted scenes episodes.
There was like 6 more episodes. Yeah.
Still great. Still all of it
MTV Cribs. That was one of those.
Was
my pterodactyl egg.
And one of the best ones was,
come on in, you poor motherfuckers.
the episode, Chappelle was on it, but it was all the rejected sketches that they never aired, and all of them were fucking hilarious. Remember like the haters in time haters?
So good.
So funny.
I mean, I think the one that might have put him on the map would be the Tyrone Biggins one, where it was the black guy who was in the Klan.
That was the first episode.
Yes. Like that was
wild.
Like, holy shit. And then the Mad Real World, which might have been season 1, might have been season 2, like the intro to season 2. That's another one.
He's like, yeah. What was the guy's name? Was it Tron?
Tron and Lysol.
Correction. I had sex with Katie too.
Katie had them big ass titties.
Yeah, that one was really good. And then when they did the race draft, that was
the race draft is so funny, which I still reference constantly.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. All right. Who wants to do number 7?
At number 7 is Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah.
R-rated Seinfeld. Dig it.
I believe this was Mac's number 1. If Mac was here, he would speak very, very highly of it. I enjoy it as well. I don't love it as much as him. And it's a show also that if I miss an episode, if I miss a season, I don't mind. If I pick it back up, I pick it back up. If I don't, I don't.
It's
and I think that's the way.
Yeah.
Larry. That's how Larry David wants it. He doesn't give a fuck if you watch it or not. He's just like, I don't know, whatever. Like, I just feel like that's his character. So, like you, I've watched this in like fits and starts. Like, I'll watch like 5 episodes in one day and then not watch it for a year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I feel the exact same way. So there's 110 total episodes of this show, and I think I've seen them all. But at the same time, maybe
I see 5 of them. I don't know.
Maybe I see the same one over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. It's great though. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, why am I not watching this? But to your point, like when the new season comes out, I'm not like the next day watching it. Like half of these or almost all these other shows that we're talking about, like it's like you got to see it, and then maybe you'll go a year without watching it, and then you'll watch 20 in a row.
Yeah, there's a stretch where when they first add Leon, when they first add JB Smoove, where there is a run of episodes or a run of seasons that are hilarious. And then of course you have the Seinfeld season.
Yeah.
The episode with Bill Buckner is an all-timer. So there are a lot of great things in here, but it's just not one that's appointment viewing for me. Marty Funkhauser, that's one of the best characters in television history.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The Funkhauser. And then my guy Vince Vaughn now has been added to the recent seasons too. Oh, also
the episode where Funkhauser tells Seinfeld the joke in the sink, and it's the first time that Jerry hears it, and he's just dying. It's so funny.
Did you guys also watch that documentary where there was a guy accused of murder, but he was like at a Dodgers game?
Yes.
And Curb Your Enthusiasm was shooting that day.
No.
So they used footage from Curb Your Enthusiasm to like help this guy like beat the murder charge.
And they had his alibi was that like he had Dodgers tickets and he was at the Dodgers game, but he like lost them and couldn't prove it. So they used footage from Curb Your Enthusiasm to prove that the guy was there. He's like, that's where I was sitting, and they zoomed in, they could see him.
Yeah, it's nuts. All right, cool. Why don't you take this one? This was your number 1 show.
All right, at number 6 was my number 1, and I know Davey already said you can't have a show where more than half of the seasons suck. But you know what? I'm just going to forget that those seasons even happened because I think seasons 3 through 8 is the best run of television ever written, and that is The Simpsons. It is perfectly written, perfectly timed jokes, great voice acting. Season 2 is pretty good. Season 9, 10, 11, 12 are pretty good. It doesn't touch what they did in those 5 immaculate seasons. And then I choose to believe that from season 13 on, those aren't real.
You know what's funny is like there was still a time because I bailed like everybody else, like whatever it was 20 years ago, but I would still go check out like the Treehouse of Horror. I'm like, yeah, I'll check this out. Like there might be something kind of funny there. Like I'll watch this. And now Davey and I referenced this on a podcast episode like a couple weeks ago. I didn't read the article. It was either The Ringer or something that says The Simpsons is good again. Have you watched any? They were like,
I watched last year's Treehouse of Horror because my brother told me to. And there was one sketch in it where it was them living in a world that it kept on rotating old episodes of The Simpsons. So it was kind of like this weird multiverse thing, but The Simpsons. And then at the end, it was a giant shot at everyone that has ripped them off. So it's all like the adult animated shows.
Nice.
It wasn't as good as like when South Park got at Family Guy or Family Guy at The Simpsons or Rick and Morty at one of those shows. But it was like that one. I haven't seen an actual full episode of The Simpsons probably since season 19.
Yeah.
Because there was one episode that I saw and I said, you know what? Why am I watching this?
And again, so I don't disagree that the best parts of The Simpsons are some of the best television in the world. Mm-hmm. However, you just said that 6 of the 34 seasons of this show are good.
I think they're perfect, though.
6 of 34.
No, but I said 6 of 34, but then 5 other seasons are pretty good. So let's say 11 seasons.
Well, that's what I had a hard time with this,
it's
too.
It's still only a third.
Well, even shows, we talked about this last episode, but even shows that are 3 seasons, and they have one near perfect season, one trash season, and one okay season. It's like, how do I vote for that? Like, how do I vote for Jessica? Is Jessica Jones way worse than True Detective? Like, they're kind of similar if you know, but
750
I pretty much said to
episodes.
myself,
that's wild.
I said to myself, what show, if I had the choice to watch any show right now, it's The Simpsons.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you to pick a random episode because
you're not going to put it on shuffle?
I'm not going to put it on shuffle. If you're going to say, here is this box set from season 4, you can watch Monorail and The Strike, I'm going to say, fantastic.
All right, so before we get into our top 5, let's hit on some honorable mentions, because if people are paying attention, they could probably deduce what the 5 are, just not the order. So real quick, looking at my list, the ones that didn't make it would be Yellow Jackets. Now, it's a new show, so maybe not everybody watched it. Jackass, which I don't know how didn't make it. I know a lot of you guys forgot it. I mentioned the Detroiters.
I forgot it was a thing.
The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead was really, really good. And I think even with a couple of its down seasons, the percentage overall, I think, is pretty up. And that was another one, Dave, you talk about like appointment viewing. I feel like Walking Dead was on Mondays, at least for a little while. I liked The Sandman a lot. There's only one season so far, but I fucking loved it. I think I gave it a 6. The Ali G Show. Nobody voted for Ali G Show but me. Party Down.
Oh, that's a good one.
I haven't watched all of the reboot yet, but I got to watch that. Firefly. That people did vote for that. It just didn't make it. MacGruber, Saved by the Bell, Mystery Science Theater 3000. The Real World
MacGruber
Challenge.
is a show? Oh, that's right. MacGruber was a show. Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Real World Challenge.
You did an episode on it, Dave.
I know. That's why I'm an idiot.
Beverly Hills 90210.
Get out of here.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
With Dylan and Brenda and Kelly?
Yeah, I know the show. I'm aware of it.
High on drugs and alcohol?
Can I add 2? Because there were 2 that I didn't make it.
I'm not done. I got 2 more. This is my list. Squid Game, Star Wars the Clone Wars, and True Blood, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. All made my list that did not make our list.
Can I quickly, before Davey jumps on it, Pat Bean just mentioned one that I forgot to put on my list, but I feel like I should have, and that is Malcolm in the Middle. That was a nice little run. Maybe the first 4 seasons.
I hated the mother in that show. And I know that was the point.
I know, but she's such a great, like the yin and the yang with Hal, with Bryan Cranston.
But all she does is like yell at everybody. Like she's a bitch. Like all she does is yell at everybody. Now, 2 shows that I would add to honorable mentions that didn't make my list that I, again, like Goo, I should have put on my list. 2 HBO shows. Oz and 6 Feet Under.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot Jackass.
You said, Rich, any shows that you just ripped off a whole bunch that you would have put on there, but
I just did a bunch. Yeah, good. What did we miss?
All right, the highest one on my list that did not make the overall list is one that I think I watched every single day for years, and it was whatever was on the night before. I'd watch it on Comedy Central the next day, and that is Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
Ugh. That was really good. There was what I'm saying
with me. I'm so used
no. I absolutely agree with you because there was a time where that was the funniest show on TV.
It was, and like it sucks what happened to him going to the Tonight Show, where they didn't neuter him, but they tried to clean him up a little bit, get rid of the masturbating bear, and then he got fired from that. And then his TBS show is still pretty funny, but it doesn't touch what he did with NBC and Late Night. Some other shows that I had here that were not mentioned was Boy Meets World. Great show. Amazing. All 7 seasons hit. Will Friedle is an all-time actor.
Ryder Strong.
We have Ryder Strong, who
Cabin Fever.
I would say is the 3rd best host on the Pod Meets World podcast.
Okay.
There are 3 of them.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see here. The In-Betweeners, which is from the UK. The MTV version fucking sucks. But if you watch the one that's on BBC, it's one of the funniest shows. Flight of the Conchords. A lot of people, I feel like, either forgot about it or just haven't seen it. There's only 2 seasons of this, but it is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say real quick. So I gave everybody a hard time for forgetting 2 shows, or for forgetting shows. But I actually, now that I think of it, forgot 2 shows. They wouldn't have made it because nobody else voted for them. But Mindhunter on Netflix, which we loved, the serial killer show. And then Broadchurch, speaking of the BBC, Olivia Colman and David Tennant, which is it's one of the great whodunits I've ever seen. But those are 2 shows that nobody voted for, so it wouldn't have mattered. But anyway.
Question for you: is The Mandalorian in the top 50?
No.
What? I know that the last season wasn't great.
I don't even think it's the best Star Wars show.
It's the best live-action Star Wars show.
It is not. Andor's better than Mandalorian.
Yeah, but in order to like Andor, you have to watch Andor.
That is for sure true.
So I spoke to a hole in your logic. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from '87, great animated show. Alf, ever hear of that, Dave?
I've heard of that, yeah.
At the end, the final episode, the FBI takes him and they kill him.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process was there.
They're limb from limb.
Would they eat them, you think?
Or fuck them. I don't know.
You think
they have biologics, as they said in Congress the other day. We have recovered biologics from crash sites.
News Radio, Community, Workaholics, The Norm Show, Animaniacs, Stella. And I'll stop right there.
None of
Stella
made the list.
You had to throw Stella in there.
Yep. I just had to get to my 35th.
All right, let's get to number 5 on our list.
Number 5.
At Dork Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and dorkpodcast@gmail.com for shows that we have missed. If you like the list, hate the list, agree with the list, whatever you want to do. But number 5 on our list is Game of Thrones.
Am I taking it? Game of Thrones.
2011 to 2019, 8 seasons, 73 episodes. Of course, an HBO show. This was another one of those appointment viewing. You had to watch it live like a sporting event because you didn't want to get anything spoiled for you. It's pretty much unanimous that the last season was not good. It was rushed. The season before, I guess you could make the case. I didn't have as big of a problem with season 7 as I did with season 8, but the first 6 seasons of the show were insane. And as somebody who didn't read the books, I didn't know what everything was brand new to me. I didn't know where these characters were going from, but to create a world like that, and then like what Gu was talking about before, this was like a movie, like the amount of money they put into the show to each episode look like a full-on blockbuster movie was incredible. And so even though it ended as poorly as it did, I think it still deserves to be in the top 5. So I'm good with it up here.
I don't know if I'm good with it in the top 5, and I'll tell you why. Personally, this show broke my heart. I feel like it was so fucking good. Like you said, it was so good. And then they just, I don't know, stop caring, or like something happened. Who they're hiring as writers, like I don't know what the hell happened, but
no, those guys they were supposed to go do a Star Wars movie, was like Weiss and Benioff. They were supposed to go do
Yeah.
a Star Wars movie, but now I don't even know if they are. And so they were just trying to like hustle through it because they had the books to base it off of before. And then all of a sudden, well, the books dried up because George R.R. Martin hadn't finished writing the story. And they were like, well, we got to keep making the show. And then it just sped up. And you see there was even an interview this week with the guy who played Varys. And it broke his heart too. He was like, the last season, he's like, he couldn't believe like the way they just kind of rushed through it.
And I think Amelia Clark said something recently about the whole thing, and she said like if or was it the guy who played she gets why people are upset, but then the guy who played the head of the Lannister family, so
Tywin Lannister
said he would sign the petition to have them reshoot the last 2 seasons.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I'm still here, by the way.
Okay, we know you're here. Yeah.
All right, we got you.
My camera died, guys. My battery is only so strong. It is really funny that they rushed through the final 2 seasons to make a Star Wars. Like, that was their big thing. They're like, we don't care about this culturally important show that literally everyone in the world cares about.
Yeah.
Because we just want to make our Star Wars. And now they're not going to make a Star Wars.
They're not going to make a Star Wars. And probably because
Go
of
see
how
a Star
bad
War.
Throne was.
That's a Arrested Development reference, by the way. Good.
Coming in at number 4 on our list is the show I voted number 1. It ran for 5 seasons, 60 total episodes on HBO from 2002 to 2008, and that would be The Wire. Again, I think the top 5 for me, I love actually, I should say, all the shows in the top 5. I think you could rank them almost any way that you want. So this is my number 1, comes in at our number 4. I mean, I love this show. I love the characters on this show. I love really everything about it. I don't think there's a bad season. I think season 5 might be the weakest, but then unlike a lot of these other shows that we have issues with, I think they hit the finale out of the park. So they found a way to at least tie it up in a way that makes a lot of sense for the show. So I don't know, Davey, how far are you now?
So I am like 1 episode into season 3.
Okay.
I did get through season 2. This is it's super compelling. It's very well written. It's incredibly well acted. I'm interested to see where it goes. So it's basically I'm at the stage you are with Lost. So I get it now. I get it.
Yep.
And I actually did, out of respect for all of you, I think I put it in my top 10, having not finished the show. But I respect all of you so much who put this. I knew you were going to put it at number 1, and I knew some of our colleagues were going to put it at number 1. So it got in there for me out of respect.
Re-5 packed.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, Goo, you want to take number 3?
At number 3 is quite possibly the greatest sitcom of all time. It's about nothing, guys, and that is Seinfeld.
I would be remiss too if I didn't mention that when we did the Dork Madness TV shows, this won, didn't it?
Yes, it did. This was voted on as the best show however many years ago we did that. But yeah, bracket style, this took them all down.
So I would, if you want to look at it based off of like, so this is at number 3. Should I reveal what's number 2? To compare what's going on here?
Sure.
Okay, so at number 2 is The Office. The Office is amazing from seasons 2 till, say, 6. Seinfeld leaves on a high. Like, Seinfeld from season 3 gets better every single season. And if they kept on going, they could have made more great television. The Office, you knew that it was pretty much done when it was done.
Well, when Michael Scott left, it was done.
Like, and even before that.
Yeah, probably even a little bit before that, but that was definitely all right, why are we still doing the show? Like, I thought it was horrible.
As opposed to Seinfeld, which once again was hilarious. Obviously, the last episode isn't great. The Puerto Rican Pride Parade wasn't a great episode, but everything leading up to those episodes, season 9 might have some of its funniest stuff.
Oh yeah, we did a draft for this too on Mac and Goo, and I remember most of the episodes drafted were like later on. Like they were like,
I think it was pretty much all like 7, 8, 9, and then there were some like you know, like, oh, the first time that they went to the Chinese restaurant was great, or like the parking garage was great, but it was pretty much from the mango episode of season 5, and then mostly 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, so I personally had
Hello.
I had Seinfeld number 3 and The Office number 4. I think it's nearly impossible for a sitcom to pass Seinfeld. And Davey had mentioned before about like spinning the wheel like on Simpsons episodes, and you kind of get what you get. Like if you do that with Seinfeld, like good. Like that's the beauty of it. When it was on like TBS every single day, it didn't matter what episode it was. But now when you come home and you pop on The Office on Comedy Central, the first thing I do is go to the info guide, see what season it's from. And if it's from like the last couple of years, I go flip to something else. But like if it's Seinfeld, it's like whatever you got, I'm good with it.
So I do that with the show at number 2, which you get the aforementioned The Office. And then for me, you know, when Steve Carell leaves, to me, the show stops there, kind of, for me, in my mind. And I'm going against what I said before, but like, you can't say blah, blah, blah. But like in my mind, that show as it existed was
hypocrite Davey. We just needed this episode to go an hour and 25 minutes, and there he is stepping in it once again.
No, there are those seasons aren't awful, but they're nowhere near as good.
What seasons?
The last 2 are awful.
They're not awful. I wouldn't say they're awful. They're not nearly as good as the first ones. So seasons 8 and 9 are when they brought in Plop and was it Clark Duke, the other kid that was and manager Andy sucks, akin to.
You're really pitching this being pretty good. You're right.
But it's hard for me to think of a more consistent show from season 1 to season 7. And
if you're saying consistent, Parks and Rec was really consistent. I don't think it had the same highs as The Office.
It did not.
But consistency-wise, I think it's actually better in its later seasons than The Office was.
However, I feel as though The Office is much more culturally relevant. Like you could make a reference to The Office. If you make a reference to The Office, everyone gets it. If you make a reference to Parks and Rec, a quarter of the room is going to get it.
I think you can make a reference to something like Ron Swanson might have said, and everyone would get it. If you say the bacon line of "Give me all of the bacon," I think everyone's pretty much in on that.
Yeah, but it's like I think of like meme culture and like where these things come into play. And I don't think when it was out that Parks and Rec was as culturally relevant as The Office was.
No, it needed syndication.
But even before Michael Scott left, I think like Andy, like you said, really morphed into being like just like a bad character, and the Jim and Pam stuff was terrible. Like that was good, like classic storytelling early on, and then by the end you're like man, I used to kind of like Pam as a character, and then you end up hating her.
Oh yeah, if you rewatch that show as with Pam as the villain, like the Jar Jar Binks effect, it's actually really funny.
It's like whoa, like I thought I liked her, and
she's an asshole. Pam's an asshole.
Yeah, she is.
Jim too.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Let Dwight live his life.
Yeah, she's not bothering anybody. All right, coming in at number 1 on the #Dork extended Shared GUniverse's top 50 TV shows of all time list, that would be Breaking Bad. Ran for 5 seasons, 62 episodes on AMC from 2008 to 2013. And again, you can check the archive probably. Davey and I did each season of Breaking Bad. We did a standalone episode on another one of these shows, so what separates this from, say, The Sopranos, and not to take a big squeezing dump on The Sopranos, is I feel like Breaking Bad, every episode and almost every line of dialogue is important to the whole story. Like it's all kind of going somewhere, and there's always like a payoff, or there's something there. There's little clues they give you or whatever. So this is as good. This is the best television show. I had The Wire, but I have zero problem with it being Breaking Bad.
I think I had Breaking Bad number 1.
Yeah, I think I might have had it either 1 or 2 or something like that, but 2 maybe. But the biggest oh shit moment in television history at the end of season 4.
Probably, yeah.
Yes, not to spoil it for anyone out there that hasn't seen it, but the face-off is maybe and then people always say, well, you could have ended it after season 4. No, season 5 is also great.
Sure is. Yeah, it sure is.
And when I think about And again, I know I made this parallel many times before, and you're gonna have to forgive me because this is my chosen profession. But like, when you think of stories in like Greek tragedy, like these are the things that
Or even the
ultimately-
Romans or Greeks.
I knew it was coming. But these are the things that like, you can't stop that show at season 4 because you need to see the downfall of Walter White. Like that's part of the story.
And learn how magnets work.
Fucking magnets. Well, I know the Insane Clown Posse asked. Well, there you go.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if this episode like got them going, like really got them thinking, like, shit, how do magnets work?
Fucking magnets.
Yeah.
How do they work?
Science, bitch.
I don't know.
But
Yeah, no,
again, what a journey for every single one of those characters, because you think like, again, Jesse Pinkman was supposed to die. Like probably Tuco was supposed to kill him or something, and then Walter goes on his way. But like the evolution of that character.
Yes.
And I think, Aaron Paul winds up winning Emmys for that, right?
It must have.
And say what you want about Anna Gunn and Skylar White, but she did a phenomenal job. And just that it's the perfect TV drama.
Well, the whole like when Hank finally figures out who Walter White is,
and he can't really pin it on him because it makes he's right under my nose for all these years, and I've missed it.
So good. Or Heisenberg, not Walter White. He finds out Heisenberg, but like it's incredible.
And there's those moments. Remember, they were like sitting on his bed. He was working with his geodes, and he's like, "Oh, Walt Whitman, blah blah blah," and he's like, "Or Walter White," and he goes, "You got me." And there's like that, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And that they bring that back again.
Or the scene where the twins are sitting on his bed with the axe.
Yeah,
they're sitting there, and then you're like, what the fuck? And then they get called out, and you're like, okay. But yeah, there's a lot of just amazing moments, and then
Davey mentions like meme culture.
Oh.
This might be one of the most memed and gifted shows. Not gifted. GIF. Is it gifted? What the fuck am I saying? Gift?
Gift.
Either way, the internet is still all over this show.
That show, they love it.
Yeah,
they love the show. I don't know. It's a pretty good list. They're fellas, not bad.
Yeah,
not bad on the list.
I think the top 10, specifically the top 5, is pretty much where it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything 20 up is kind of a big old shit sandwich.
It's a crapshoot. That's why we'll tweet out what the official list is at some point. And
I'm not going to name names. We have some unreliable narrators in the crew.
Pat in the chat wants to know where's Jupiter's Legacy.
That was my 51st. It just missed.
Legit worst show we've ever seen. It was the worst show I've ever seen. At least all the way through. So yeah, so let us know what we missed, and if you like the list, I'll try to put out my top 50 at some point so people can comment on that. Goo, what do you guys got coming up, and where can people follow and find the old Mac and Goo program?
Yes, we have a new show. It's called Mac and Goo Movie Club. You can find us anywhere podcasts are found. This week, coming up tomorrow, we have Barbie, where Mac and I, for 45 minutes, call each other beta cucks.
Okay, nice.
And we both take different sides, but we're both beta cucks.
I love that. I'll be listening. That's pretty good. Dave, you got anything else?
I just finished this book, by the way. Nerd, I know, but this book. So I want to mention this now. It's called Hide by Kirsten White. This is going to be made into a movie or series if it hasn't started already. Check it out. It's only like 230 pages. Quick read. It's basically a mixture of Cabin in the Woods and like Squid Game.
Oh,
if you're into that kind of thing.
If you had said Cabin Fever, I would have read it.
All over it.
So basically 14 people get selected to take place in this contest. That's a huge game of hide and seek in an abandoned amusement park. Oh. And I'll leave it at that.
I like that. That was a good premise. Netflix would be all over that.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, Davey and I are going to talk Star Wars Rebels, as Ahsoka is coming out in a couple of weeks. So we're going to talk, kind of ping pong around a little bit. It's going to be spoiler. So,
Keefe, where did you have Ahsoka in your top 50?
2. I already know. Just from the trailer alone, I know.
So excited.
But yeah, so 2 episodes come out on that in a couple of weeks. So we're going to talk Rebels next week because Ahsoka's in a whole bunch of Rebels episodes. So we will do that.
Yeah, so Ahsoka's coming out a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah.
Max sent me, because I haven't seen any of like the animated stuff, and he sent me a list of episodes that I should see before. There's 40 fucking episodes. I'm like, I can't watch all.
They're
of
quick
these.
though.
I know, but I thought it'd be like 5 episodes, Dave. He sent me 40 episodes.
You're the essential episode list, and that's actually what we're going to kind of do for Rebels. And I saw somebody actually sent me a thing on Instagram where a guy did like here's what you should watch before Ahsoka.
I think that's what Max sent me.
But it was like all these episodes from Clone Wars, all these episodes from Ahsoka, all these episodes from Mandalorian, all these episodes from Boba Fett, and all these from Tales of the Jedi. I'm like, okay.
It ended up being 40 episodes. Yes. That's what I got too. I'm like, I'm not going to do that, bud.
That is a ton. All right, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram at Dork Podcast, YouTube as well, where we record live Sunday nights at 9. And you can email us, dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Your should I have bought this, as we'll get back to those next week. Davey, promise me a million times over you will never do another rule.
Yeah, I can't promise you that.